How's it hanging, people? I'm Lindsay Geektron, and this is LolKing's League Trends for the week of November 11th, 2014. This week's featured champions include Singed, Thresh, Sivir, Shaco, Akali, and Zillion. Also, Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Wrong genre. Let's dive into Summoner's Rift. This week, the featured champions on the increased pick rates list include Graves, Ezreal, Singed, Soraka, and Shaco. Don't chase the Singed. It's time to remember one of League's very first rules, guys. Singed has been given a minor buff that his Mega Adhesive now roots opponents if he flings them into it. His ultimate also gives just a few more flat stats. In lane, he's frequently passive early on, but that's only when he actually comes to lane. Many players have had more success farming minion waves behind turrets and in enemy territory. The proxy farming takes advantage of Singed's ability to damage minions and move at the same time. Make sure you know where the enemy jungler is before you start though. Going at a bad time will get you killed very quickly. Singed players usually start with a Tear or a Rod of Ages. The next major item is Riley's Crystal Scepter, which is followed by some tanky stats. While still an uncommon pick, make sure you keep your distance when he shows up in your game. Decreased pick rates this week list Ryze up first, with Lucian, Thresh, Lee Sin, and Zed following behind. Thresh is on a tiny downswing, but it's highly doubtful many players noticed due to his still high popularity. Other supports, such as Janna and Blitzcrank, have been on the rise, but haven't made too large of a dent. The Chain Warden's power comes from both engage and disengage. He's great in lane because when he lands Death Sentence or uses Flay, he's very effective at keeping enemies off of his ADC. When he misses or these abilities are on cooldown, he's vulnerable, so that would be a really good time to counter-engage. He also has low auto attack range and minimal sustain, so he and his partner can be poked out of lane. He has a couple of different item options, but most players start with a Relic Shield, mostly to make up for his lack of sustain. He doesn't get the execution bonus to minions that melee champions do, so players who use this item need to have precision. Future items include a Sightstone and Moby Boots, and he does best with tank stats and cooldown reduction, so other good buys are a Locket of the Iron Solari or a Frozen Heart. Champs with the biggest increase in win rates this week are Sion, Zac, Nunu, Cho'Gath, and Sivir. The Battle Mistress is on the rise once more. She's been bullied out of many a lane before by the popular Lucian, but he's been taken down a couple of pegs. Sivir's value to a team is not in her damage, but in her mobility. Her ultimate, On the Hunt, gives everyone nearby a large movement speed increase that makes initiating or running your balls off a total breeze. She can struggle in lane due to her low auto attack range. To get around this, many players simply turn on Ricochet and shove the lane for a minion advantage. But make sure you ward if you push like this. If you're up for trading with your opponents, make sure you spell shield incoming damage. The ability does have a long cooldown, so Sivir players need to make sure they block something important like a support's CC. He wasn't seen at Worlds, but Sivir is quietly getting a lot of play amongst LCS teams vying for the expansion tournament, so don't be surprised if she pops up there or at IEM San Jose. Decreased win rates this week list Zillion, Ryze, Galio, Skarner, and Shaco. Shaco's recent rise in popularity appears to have dinged his win rate. The Demon Jester is tricky and annoying for opponents, but difficult to use properly. Shaco is an assassin jungler, so he excels at split pushing and picking people off. Most Shaco players attempt to counter jungle their enemies. Use Jack-in-the-Box turrets to maintain vision and cover your escape with their Fear crowd control. The ability can also be used to halt an escape if you know which direction your opponent is moving. His most underappreciated strength may be his objective control, and he can often solo Dragon or Baron with his Hallucinate ultimate. The clone does 50% of Shaco's damage and can tank for him. Many players have their own unique way of playing Shaco, so you'll see some different item builds. Most start with a Feral Flare. A Bork is the best dueling option, but some people prefer to get big crits from Shaco's Deceive ability, so they buy items like Hydra, Infinity Edge, or Static Shiv. And then there's our friend Crypty from our Tuesday Night Bronze LCS show, whose build involves an Elder Lizard, plus lots of throwing. Good job, Crypty. Champions with the biggest increased ban rates this week include Gnar, Rammus, Janna, Fizz, and Akali. The Fist of Shadow. Really? That's what they call her? Anyway, she's on everyone's hit list this week. The assassin has always been dangerous, but nerfs to Zilean and Janna now give her even more freedom. Akali's goal in teamfights is to burst down a single target, but she can also hide in her Twilight Shroud while waiting on her cooldowns. Buying Vision Wards or an Oracle's Lens can reveal a hiding fist of shadow and easily turn into a fight. Akali can be seen in the top lane, but usually has an easier time in mid. This is because she usually gets her kills from a jungle gank or roaming. She usually relies on her sustain to survive a passive lane phase, but there are a few weak champions she can bully, such as Yasuo. While Zilean and Janna got nerfed, there's still good picks into Akali along with other lifesavers such as Soraka or Kayle. She can snowball solo Q games when unchecked, but good teamwork will stop the fist from shadowing or something. Either way, keep an eye out for her on the Rift. Finally, this week, the top 5 champions with the biggest decreased ban rates include Ryze, Lucian, Zilean, Tristana, and Yasuo. As we mentioned earlier, Zilean got hit with the nerf bat. The bonus experience from his passive, Heightened Learning, is no longer global. Chrono Shift's Revive is still very powerful, and he can also speed up allies or slow down foes with Time Warp. However, it's true that a very large part of his team contribution came from just being there. People on the other side of the map would get kills or advantages from leveling up earlier than their opponents. Thankfully, that's gone. But don't expect this dude to disappear though, he still makes a fine mid laner or support. Most players buy a Tyr or Athene's Unholy Grail and follow up with more ability power or cooldown reduction. Zilean brings team mobility and protection against assassins. If these things are a problem for you, it's okay to keep banning the Chrono Keeper. We don't judge here, we're not Reddit. And that does it for this week's episode. Please be sure you check back every week for the latest League of Legends, picks, bans, and win rates. Please be sure you like and comment below, especially if you like this video. As a side note, you may have noticed that we're now moderating the comments. Anytime you guys want to put your big boy pants on, we'll be here. Make sure you subscribe to LolKing's YouTube channel before you click off of this video. I'm Lindsay Geektron. You can follow me on Twitch TV at Lindsay Geektron. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see everyone next week.